Hello beautiful people, Satnam, welcome, thank you for joining me. I'm making this video about some challenges that have come up recently for me, and it's not the first time this has come up. It came up many times before when I had my first set of locks and they were quite long, but I'm noticing it especially during this summer. And I'm loving the weather, I'm loving how beautiful it is outside, but there are some things that are actually making me kind of consider whether I want to trim my locks. So I don't know, watch this space. I might actually trim my locks because of this. And I want to share why and what challenges keep making me think about trimming my locks. Now, before I start about sharing the things about my challenges, I also want to say that for me, the most important thing is having healthy locks. So it doesn't matter what kind of length or what type of locks you have. Everyone's an individual, and having healthy locks is a main priority for me, and it's something I admire a lot when I look at other people's locks. It doesn't matter how long they are. But saying that, obviously there are a lot of people out there who are inspired to have long length natural hair. This is why I want to make this video, to share both sides, because there's many positive things and many beautiful inspiration with long locks, but there's not so many information or so many tips out there about the challenges that might come up when it comes to having long locks. So let's jump straight in. And as I said, it's summer outside, it's beautiful, but when you have long locks, it can be really, really claustrophobic. In winter it's beautiful because it feels really warm, but when it's summertime, then you can really feel the heat, especially in the back of the neck and my shoulders. There have been many times I've just felt like it was way too much, and I've actually stopped putting my hair down when it comes to summertime because it just gets too much. And I try doing a lot of updos, like a nice big bun on top of my head. But leading on to point number 2 about the challenges, there are sometimes situations where I can feel the weight of my locks, and that can also cause discomfort for me. So when I do have a long, big bun on top of my head, I can feel the weight. Another time I can feel the weight is when my locks are wet or when I'm working out. And in summer, I do love to work out. I love to go out jogging or walking or doing yoga, and sometimes I find that having long locks can get in the way and even actually be painful, when I'm jogging along and I'm feeling my locks jumping up and down and tugging on my neck. It can really cause a little bit of stress on me. It doesn't cause so much that I would stop doing any fitness or anything like that, but I do notice the difference from having shorter length locks to having the amount of locks that I have now. So the next thing that I find challenging is that I have to really be conscious about damage to my locks, especially to my ends. I think people don't really, again, talk about this so much, but when your locks get longer, there is more breakage towards the ends. And there have been many times where I've washed my locks, or I've maybe done a style or something like that, and I find that my ends become much more weaker. And it makes more sense because obviously it's the oldest part of the locks, and it's probably had much more wear and tear compared to the other parts of the locks, the other sections of the locks. So when you have long locks, it's so important to be mindful of your ends, mindful of damage, mindful of not overdoing the styling, mindful of having your ends nearby so it's not getting caught up on your clothing or collecting lint, for example. Leading on to point number 4 is that as you have longer locks, it makes more sense that you need to buy more products. And I'm always big on keeping things super simple, so I don't use that many products anyway. But when it comes to washing locks or conditioning or using oils or just general care of locks, I do notice that I have to spend more money than I used to when it comes to having products for them. So at this point in time, what I've done is I've actually decided to buy in bulk. So things like natural oils or African black soap, things like that. I like to keep it in bulk because I'm using more of it, and especially again in summer when I'm washing my hair or maintaining my locks much more, I feel like my products go so much more faster and I need much more of it in order to maintain my locks. So this is something that I've noticed between having short length hair and longer length hair. And the last thing I would say is coming to the washing and drying process. It takes forever. It really does take forever. I mean, I would actually schedule in maybe a whole day where I'm washing my hair in the morning and I'm letting my hair air dry, my locks air dry throughout the whole day. And even the next day, sometimes I find that it's still quite wet. Obviously, you can use something like a dryer if you want to. I prefer not to because I find it really dries up my locks. But it just takes so long for it to completely dry. And this can be a little bit of a hassle, not so much in summer, but in winter time when it's cold outside and I have things to do and I don't want to be stuck in the house. Obviously, I want to make sure I'm out and about and doing things. Air drying and washing my locks is like I have to schedule it a little bit more. I have to think about actually washing my locks and how long it's going to dry, because the last thing I want to do is walk outside with wet locks, or even having wet locks underneath a hat can sometimes be really uncomfortable. So yeah, those are the top 5 things that do come in mind. I made a long blog post on this, so you can have a look on it in my Holistic Locs website. Link is below. And please feel free to share if you're having any challenges when it comes to having long locks and what tips you would offer. I have tips in my blog post, so feel free to check that out and I'll share more of the things that come up for me. But in the spirit of just being honest and being real about my lock journey, I like to share both sides. So hopefully this will show you another side of what it's like to have long locks. Watch this space. You never know, I might actually trim my locks. So who knows? It might happen soon. Take care. Bye. Satnam.